Yo, what is going on, everybody? Shri Kanase here. So how I would build a $100,000 Shopify dropshipping store if I were to begin from scratch. Now, this is one of the most common questions a lot of people, especially beginners or intermediates even, have on their minds. And that is, how can somebody who has already done it go and start from the beginning and basically get back to where they originally were? And to tell you guys the truth, it is much easier to do that, especially from scratch, once you already know the basics, once you already know what works and what doesn't work with Shopify. So I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how I would go about starting a brand new Shopify store with literally nothing under my belt, and how I would go about building it into a six-figure dropshipping business. So this is actually one video you're going to want to watch until the end, because towards the later portion of the video, I do talk about ads, and this is one thing a lot of people do struggle with. But without wasting any more time, let's just jump right into it. The first thing you'll have to do in order to build a six-figure, seven-figure, and any kind of business with Shopify in the first place is to smash that like button until it turns blue. I promise it's going to take just 2 quick seconds. Okay, hopefully you smashed that like button down below. But let's start by talking about the first thing when it comes to building a Shopify dropshipping business that goes up to six-figure levels. And the first thing I actually want to start talking about is data. Now, exactly what does this mean? What does anything have to do with data? Towards the beginning of my Shopify journey, I really didn't even know how important data was for my Shopify dropshipping store, but unknowingly, I was still investing a lot of money into gathering data. And as of right now, I do understand what data is and how important it is for Shopify, but during my early days, I definitely did not know what that meant. And right now, if I had to start from scratch, I would definitely focus more on the data aspect of advertising and of my Shopify dropshipping store. So exactly what does this mean? If I were to start from scratch, I would want to gather as much data as possible for my pixels, and this is going to lead on to me creating lookalike audiences, email lists, and so forth, because you guys want to understand one thing: you don't have any control over your business manager account on Facebook or on your merchant center or Google Ads account with Google or just about any other advertising platform. However, you do have control over your data, meaning your email list and your customer list. These things are something you can download and keep on your computer or hard drive safely, and they won't be taken away from you unless you, of course, delete them. So that is why it has become extremely important to invest money into data to make sure you have a good and optimized customer list. And this could also include lookalike audiences, so you can use them to your advantage. So from the beginning, I would focus my energy on getting data. It could mean getting data from advertising on free Facebook groups, free Instagram influencers, or even paying for those things, and making sure that the data I'm getting is appropriate for my Shopify dropshipping store. Meaning, if it's a niche store in a one given niche, I want people coming onto my website who may be interested with stuff related to that niche. But this all ties into the advertising platform aspect, because a lot of people actually believe advertising is literally the most important thing. And while that is true to an extent, you can't really utilize any advertising platform fully until you have proper data, until the data that you do have is actually relevant to the kind of products you're selling, to the kind of audiences you want to be targeting. So that's why it's super important to start off with knowing exactly what kind of data you want. And this again relates to the niche or general store which you have chosen to do dropshipping with, and we'll be going more into detail in those very shortly. But when it comes to advertising platform, here's exactly what I would do. And this is assuming that I have literally zero knowledge with advertising platforms as well. I would go in and master one at a time. But here's the big difference. I would not go into one of the saturated platforms such as Facebook ads, mostly simply because, in my opinion, Facebook ads is already very saturated. And if you're just a beginner, especially someone that has little to no budget to spend, Facebook ads is not the way to go. And this is where the unsaturated versus saturated topic comes into play. A lot of people think that the unsaturated platforms like Pinterest, TikTok, and so forth are extremely hard to use, that their Shopify store is extremely unique and it's not gonna be able to be advertised on these unsaturated platforms. But let me tell you that that is far from the truth. A lot of people in a wide variety of different niches are finding great success with unsaturated advertising platforms. So that is exactly how you want to go about this, and what I would personally do as well. And here are a few examples of unsaturated platforms I would start looking into. First one, TikTok, obviously. Second, Pinterest. third one, Google ads. There are also things like Reddit ads, Bing ads, and so forth, but these three are the main that I would start looking into because they are gaining extremely high in popularity. I already use Google ads a lot, and the reason why I believe Google ads is still unsaturated is because within the past year, thousands and thousands of Shopify dropshippers have been suspended from Google Ads. A lot of them have given up on trying to get their ad accounts back. So that means this has basically become unsaturated at this point. So if you are able to follow my videos and get the ad account and the Merchant Center account approved, then that will be a big win for you and you can make a lot of sales with Google. But these three are definitely one of the main ones I would start looking into if I was a beginner starting from scratch. But that brings me to the product section. Along with finding products which are of course good for the general public and something that is quirky, interesting, and heavy in demand, I would also look at the following. First of all, I would ask myself if the product I'm trying to add and sell is actually relevant to the platform that I want to sell on. So that means if I want to sell on TikTok, I'll need to find products which are more ideal for the TikTok audience. Of course, 50 and 60-year-olds may not really be using TikTok as much as 20 and 30-year-olds. So I would have to take that into consideration when doing product research for that platform. On the other hand, with Google Ads, if you were to sell via Google, you may be able to sell all kinds of different products regardless of the age group because all kinds of individuals do shop on Google. They do search things up on Google. So that is the benefit with Google, and that is you can simply sell anything that you want via Google Ads. On the other hand, with Pinterest, maybe you want to try to sell beauty products or something related to the women audience, mostly simply because more women use Pinterest than men. And this is exactly what I mean when I say try to find products related to the platform. A lot of people go wrong here thinking that something that works for Facebook ads may work for Google, and that is far from the truth. You want to really think about your advertising platform and know whether what you're trying to sell will work with that given advertising platform. But another thing that I would heavily look into and basically focus all of my energy on is high ticket. I would really not try to sell low ticket or even mid ticket items at this point in 2021 and onwards because 99% of dropshippers are doing exactly that. I'm always trying to stand out of the crowd. I'm always trying to try different things, and that also means trying high ticket more than low ticket, and that's simply because I have had more results as of now with high ticket compared to low, and I already know that high ticket, it takes the same amount of effort to sell that as it would with a $20 product. So that is why I would mostly look into high ticket products related to this given platform, and this could mean $200 up to $500. That is the sweet range for high ticket, which I have personally noticed. But this brings me to the next one, which is website, because it doesn't matter what kind of ads you run. If you don't have a proper setup website which is optimized for conversions, it's simply not gonna work. So with the website, here's what you need to decide from the beginning. Do you want to have a general store or a niche store? Knowing what I know already, I would personally start with a general store to leave my options open, and I would not really want to cave myself into a specific niche, especially if the advertising platform I'm using is completely new to me and I have little to no idea what kind of audiences actually shop on those given platforms. So that is why I would go with a general store to start off with. And to set up my general store, here's exactly what I would do. I would go on these three websites and I would try to mimic their layout as much as possible. Now, this does not mean that you go in and copy everything word for word and make sure that every link and every design is exactly the same as these, but it does mean that you want to have a sort of similar layout to these websites, and that's simply because these are 6-figure, 7-figure generating websites which do that amount every single month, and they're already successful. So you want to kind of be following the success and not try to make your own path. And I'm not saying that it can't work to make your own path. However, if other websites are already successful, you may want to sort of mimic those and go from there. And toolots.com, Sharper Image, and Inspire Uplift, these three are basically all you need to build a successful $100,000 per month or even per year dropshipping store. But let's bring it down to the product page, because the product page, regardless of which advertising platform you use, is about 90% of the battle. The 10% of the battle is basically the other pages on your website. With product page, here's the exact few things I would follow. There's a few more things. You can watch my other video on how to lay out a perfect product page, but for this, I'm gonna keep it short and simple and lay out just the main things that I would do. First things first, I would have no timers, no trust badges, or any unnecessary info taking up space on the product page. A lot of people have those collections noting down exactly which category this product is in at the top, and then they have the special share buttons below the description and all sorts of these funky things which just end up taking space and are not really beneficial to the general customer. So we want to get rid of those, and we want to get rid of any unnecessary white space, because this reduces the amount of scrolling a customer has to do, and in some cases it might even speed up your website. So make sure that you don't have any unnecessary info that takes up space. But in addition, you want to be starting to focus more on search engine optimized descriptions. It does not matter if you're using Google Ads or not. A search engine optimized description is going to significantly help you get organic sales in the long run. In the beginning, it may seem like a hassle, but trust me, as you keep doing this and over time, as you do more, you're going to get more and more sales organically, and that is exactly what you should be aiming for. I mean, nobody really likes spending money to get sales. So search engine optimized descriptions will definitely help you with that. Now, I have an entire video on how to create a search engine optimized description. You guys can watch it on my channel. I'll leave the link in the description below. But in addition, you want to have random reviews per product in proper English. Now, exactly what do I mean by random reviews? When I say random reviews, I mean that one product should have 7 reviews, another one should have 31, and the third one should have 43, and so forth. You want to keep it random. You don't want to import exactly 10 reviews per product, because that is just going to mess things up. And it's not really going to make the customer trust you anymore. So you want to make sure that those are pretty much random and that they're in proper English. But final thing for the website, you don't really have to go too in depth. You want to make sure that your website is fast. And by fast, I mean less than 3 seconds. If it's more than 3 seconds, it's going to significantly start going into your conversion rate. You're going to notice a lower conversion rate overall for your website. So if you want to avoid that, make sure that your website is fast and loading faster than 3 seconds, maybe within 2 seconds or so. And for this, I do recommend hiring somebody on Fiverr or Upwork. That is normally what I would do if I were starting a brand new Shopify store. But this brings me to the ads section. Now, there's a reason why the ads section here is extremely small, and that's because if you have been doing all of these things correctly, with the ads, as long as you are targeting the right product to the right audience, you should be getting some kind of result. This is not really rocket science. A lot of people like to overcomplicate ads. So here's exactly what I would personally do. I would start off by, first of all, testing the new advertising platform, because at this point I would have little to no data or knowledge about this ad platform. So I would start with a very low budget and I would test different audiences and different products. Of course, I would try to keep my audiences as relevant as possible to the product, but I would definitely start off with a low budget and then slowly over time scale up based on the results. Now for Google Ads, a low budget would mean around $25 a day. For TikTok and Pinterest, on the other hand, it may mean around $10 a day per ad set. This depends on your budget as well. If you have a much lower budget than that, then I highly recommend you start off at $5 a day for TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, and so forth. But here's another thing when it comes to running ads and gathering data, because in the end, we're running ads simply to gather data so our pixel becomes smarter. There is something called good data versus bad data. Exactly what is good data? Good data is when you are getting people on your product page which have some kind of interest with the product that you're trying to sell or are relevant in some way with your products. You don't want to be advertising a dog necklace to the cat lovers niche, and you don't want to be advertising the cat necklace to a dog lovers niche. And that's exactly what I mean by good data. But this would categorize as bad data. And bad data is, of course, again, as I already mentioned, targeting the wrong product to the wrong audience. That means the wrong number of people, if any, will come onto your website and they won't really be interested in what you want to sell. So this is going to mess up your pixel. But in addition, there's another way to get bad data, and that is by running big budget ad sets, especially in the beginning. A lot of people believe that if they want to get data fast, they're going to have to run $100, $1,000 per day ad sets, especially if they already have a big budget. And that is not a good idea, simply because your ad account is new. It really has not enough data to work with. So if you started off at the extremely high budget, the advertising platform, all it really wants is your money. So what it's going to do is it's going to try to show your ads to the largest number of people possible. And this could mean a lot of people that are not really that interested in your product or are not really optimized for adding to cart or purchasing are going to end up on your website. So this would categorize as bad data, something you want to avoid. And that is also something I would do. So again, start with a low budget. This brings me to the final point on the list of what I would do to get to $100,000 with my Shopify dropshipping store. And that is scaling. Because if you have been following everything so far, if you have been running ads, testing new products, you're obviously going to be starting to find a few winning products. And it may take a few weeks, it may take even months. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you are consistent with it, because without consistency, none of this matters. Once you get to the scaling phase, that's when you want to hire talent and outsource based on the revenue that you're generating. You want to also start scaling up with your ad sets, meaning using one of the scaling methods I mentioned on my YouTube channel, like vertical scaling, horizontal scaling, and so forth, and going from there. But also outsourcing a lot of the tasks which are taking up a lot of your time, and mostly focusing on the advertising, because in the end, as a Shopify dropshipper, advertising is where I personally know my results will come from. But that is the general strategy of what I would do to go from zero all the way up to $100,000 in sales with my Shopify dropshipping store. If you're looking to get one-on-one mentoring or one-on-one consulting, and if you really want me to guide you personally step by step, do send me a message on Instagram at DedicatedYoung. I do offer one-on-one mentoring, especially for Google Ads only. But if you found any type of value in this video, smash that like button and smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.